Alright, hey everybody, Silverback here. Since I was kind of out of commission yesterday, I really wanted to make this video yesterday before the 2A rally, which unfortunately I didn't get to attend that either because I had to have a tooth extracted, so I've been kind of out of it. I rushed home Friday afternoon from work early to get this done so I wouldn't have to miss out on anything, only for them to tell me that they couldn't get me in right away, so I had to go there Saturday morning at the crack of dawn as soon as they opened to get this taken care of. But between the pain medication and just the soreness, I just wasn't feeling well at all day yesterday, so I didn't get to do anything I wanted to do. Alright, but anyway, got this in the mail. Purchased this from Hard Target. Our buddy Gil up there, he's supporting Mr. Holster greatly, and I do deeply appreciate him for that. I'm sure Mr. Holster does as well. These dudes are both a couple of really great guys, so when you get a chance, go check them out and see what you can do and support Mr. Holster. But I've been looking around for some more steel, and quite fast shipping, I do have to say. I ordered this, I think it was like on a Monday or a Tuesday evening, maybe it was even Wednesday, and it came on Saturday. Look, it looks like I got a little letter from Gil. Thank you, Scott Gill. No, thank you, Gil. Here we go, man. Check it out. But what I want to do today, as you can tell, I'm not, in my clean attire, and he actually gave me a bolt to hold it up with too, man. That was awesome. Super sweet of him. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I prepare my steel targets and get them ready for the shooting range. You see, they come raw. Everybody sells them that way. So I'm going to take and sand this down, clean it off really good, get it to some nice clean steel, and then I'm going to go ahead and spray some self-etching primer on there. Today I'm just using some Rust-Oleum self-etching primer. I'm not trying to go super expensive with this because in the end it's just getting shot at and dinged up anyway. And then after that I'm going to apply a coating of this flat black spray paint over the whole entire target. I want to make sure all my areas of steel are covered so that way I can preserve the target for as long as possible, and I will respray it down with the flat black or some other type of spray paint after each use, just so that way the steel does stay protected and I can make it last longer. Now you ask why I do this, and like I said, it's to preserve the target. You spend some money on these things, you want to make them last. So plus with all my years in the out-of-body industry as a painter, I know about treating metal, taking care of metal, and getting it to stay nice and fresh and clean. If y'all haven't seen, this is some of the stuff I do just for fun around. That, my friends, is a 66 Malibu. Okay, been putting this thing together over the last about year and a half now. Did a lot of work to this thing. Just about finished up. I should have it finished up by next week, so I might keep you updated on that, but the guy's going to come pick it up next Sunday, and finally get to say goodbye to this thing and put my garage here back in normal standing. It's a bit of a mess right now. It's in shambles because of all the work I've been doing, but without further delay, let's go ahead and get the target set up on the stand, and I'll show you how I start sanding it and stuff like that. I'm going to be using a lot of my auto body tools to do this, like my sanders and some sandpaper and stuff like that. I'll kind of explain a little bit step by step as I go along what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So that way, and all this stuff can be done by hand. You know, I just have the fancy tools. I know everybody else out there doesn't have fancy tools, but it's still something that can be accomplished by hand. It may take you a few minutes longer, but in the end, it's well worth it. Just for the longevity of the target, because steel does rust, it does corrode, so you don't want to just go, you know, throwing your money away by leaving it out there in the weather, unless you're just going to pick it up and take it in all the time. But it will still, because of the humidity in the air, the moisture is going to soak into that steel and start those rust molecules forming. So the best bet is to always prepare your targets and paint them up and keep them in, you know, in good health. So that way you can, you know, keep the longevity of them and have them for a long time. All right, well, let's get on to setting it up. All right, what I have in here is a grease and wax remover that we use in the auto body industry to clean, obviously, exactly as it states, greases and waxes off the surface of a vehicle. Because a lot of time steel is usually maintained with the oil, so I like to just kind of soak it down a little bit and clean it up with some of this, just to get the process started. So, you know, we'll rub it around a little bit, and then, you know, we'll get some paper towels and dry it off. I'm just going to pat it dry because I don't want to get all the lint from the paper towels all over, stuck all over this thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter anyway, because I'm just going to go rough it up and sand it down. But, you know, that'll get rid of some of that oil just to help the paint stick a little bit better. You know, this really isn't 100% necessary step. I just do it, like I said, just because of habit, out of all the years I've spent in the industry and doing what I do. So now that we've got that, you know, somewhat clean of the oil, we'll go ahead and get our sander and our sandpaper and start sanding this thing and getting it ready for the primer and the paint. I got my trusty air sander. Gonna go ahead and use some 180 grit sandpaper, only because, you know, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is kind of rough. That steel is not that bad, so this will clean it up nice and neat, and should do the trick. Let's go ahead and start sanding on it. Alright, before I get too carried away, I'm going to show you already what the difference is. Okay, as you can see, this portion here is where I sanded. It's all smooth. It's much cleaner than this portion here, or even this side. I mean, hopefully it's not too dark in here and y'all can see that. You know, okay, well, I'm gonna press on and get it all sanded down, and then we'll be back to show you the priming and the painting portion of it. Alright, just blowing off all the dust from sanding it, helping to clean the surface a little bit more. So I'm going to go get, since our hands do contain, you know, our bodies have natural oils, from here on out I'm going to be using some gloves to handle it until I get it painted. So that way my oils don't sink in and leave rusty fingerprints. So I'm going to go get some gloves on and we'll go right back to it. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and clean it with this solvent one more time. Just like I said, for me it's kind of a habit thing, just from doing what I do for a living. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down one more time, since how it's all nice and smooth and sanded, just to make sure I get any of my oils off of the surface. I did hit the edges up really good too. Like I said, it's not 200% perfect. I'm sure if I really wanted to go at it and get some really rough grit and come on down to some really smooth grit sandpapers, I could make this thing smoother than a baby's butt and put a really nice finish on it. But like I said, since it's only going out on the shooting range and going to have bullets bouncing off it and dinging it all up, I'm not concerned about that. I'm just merely concerned about the longevity of it and preserving that and keeping it for as long as I can, you know what I mean? So, alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and hang this up from this stand here so that way I can paint both sides at the same time, and we'll get on with it. Alright, we're going to start with the self-etching primer, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and flip on my exhaust fan here. It might get a little noisy, and go ahead and start spraying it down with the primer. Also, make sure that you are in a well-ventilated area while doing this, and I suggest wearing some kind of, you know, particle vapor mask, so that way you're not breathing in all these chemicals.
Oh, bucket.
Alright, I broke the top on the other can. So I got a little bit of this Duplicolor self-etching primer left. Hopefully there's enough in this can to cover the whole thing. You only need a light coat. You don't have to go crazy. Oh, wait a minute. Ah, I'm in luck. I found another can full.
All right.
That's why it's always good to have a backup plan. So glad I had this hanging around. Alright, now that we applied a nice even coat over the whole entire piece of steel with the self-etching primer, we're ready to move on to paint. I've given this, you know, several minutes to dry, so I can go ahead and, you know, coat it with the top coat. So the next phase will be paint, and the reason why we use the self-etching primer is to go ahead and make sure that it bites into the steel. That's what self-etching means. It bites into the steel, gives something to help the paint stick to the surface. Plus I like to do it because it kind of treats the metal a little bit, and just one more layer of protection for the steel itself. So alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the paint, put my mask back on, and put the top coat on, the black, and we'll let that dry. And as we're letting that dry, I'm gonna go ahead and clean myself up a little bit, go out and find something that I can use for a stand to set this up out there on the range, and then we'll take some shots at it. Alright, man, this is a beautiful target from Gillette Hard Target. I can't thank him enough for, you know, how fast he got this out to me, and plus, you know, the contributions he's making again to Mr. Holster. So we will go ahead and finish setting this target up and getting it out there on that range, and we'll take some shots, and then we'll call it a day, and that'll be a whole Sunday worth of fun. Well, all right, let me go ahead and grab that paint up and get to painting.
Alright, coat number 2, I always put 2 coats on just to make sure I got good even coverage.
Alright there. Oh, alright folks, there you have it. Very nicely painted target. Very well prepared. So I'm going to let this dry really good for probably about a good solid hour while I go out and find something I can use as a stand to hang this from. Love these silhouette targets. I've been looking for one for a while. Gil over there at Hard Target just happens to have these at a really good price. This was $39, okay? And this is on the list of the targets that he will donate. When you purchase these, we'll donate the $5 to Mr. Holster from the purchase of this target and the one with the 3 small circles on it. Those are pretty cool targets too. I think that one's going to be one of my next targets I purchase. That one is a little bit more expensive, but hey, it's worth it, man. Shooting steel is awesome. I just love the sound when the bullet hits it. Plus, I mean, once you buy this target, you don't have to constantly go out and buy paper targets, man. You just keep this thing painted up, keep it nice and fresh and clean, man, and this thing will last you a long, long, long time. All right, well, let's go find a stand to put it on, and we'll be back to put it up on the range and take some shots at it. All right, folks, as you can see, it's raining out, so I really don't have much time here to take a whole bunch of shots. So I got a couple magazines loaded up in my 9mm and my high point carbine. So good thing my GoPro is waterproof. So we'll just take a few shots at the target real quick just to give it a test run. But I'm afraid the rain's picking up a little bit, and it's supposed to be thunderstorms a little later. So we're just going to get this done and over with as quick as possible. And sorry about that. I really didn't want to finish the video this way. So, alright, well, let's get set up and take a few shots real quick and get back inside before we get too soaking wet. Alright, well, there you have it. New target from Hard Target. Awesome stuff. Love these steel targets. Probably not the greatest stand in the world to have it on, but it does the trick. So, good and cheap. $5 at Walmart. Tell you what. But yeah, because it's raining, I'm not going to be able to paint this back up. But as soon as the rain stops, I'm going to come out here and wipe it down and go ahead and paint it back up. Well, alright, everybody. Have fun. The doctor is in.